Hey everyone, Dr. Hanisha here, and I know it's been a minute since I've come on, but I'm excited to create this video for you all because it's been a long time coming. So for those of you who haven't heard, I am currently pregnant. I am actually just hit my third trimester, so I'm 27 weeks today. So I just started my third trimester, and I'm really excited to share with you the physical, mental, and emotional shifts that I've experienced thus far during pregnancy. And I kind of go into, I have a blog post where I go into how my journey went from being infertile to actually having an unplanned pregnancy. But I will kind of go over that a little bit today. So a little bit of that really is just from my my diagnosis with Hashimoto's hypothyroidism and polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. I've been diagnosed with both of those, and both of those are leading causes of infertility in women. And with that, PCOS, for example, is about 70 to 80% of the reason for infertility in women in general. But I'm sitting here today, 6 months pregnant, or almost 7 months pregnant, and doing really well. And so I just want to give hope to all of the people out there who are who have been diagnosed with infertility and have been struggling with conception, and really haven't gotten any answers. Because this is why I'm so grateful for naturopathic medicine, because I was able to get answers a long time ago. I was able to get answers whenever I first started my my healing journey about 7 years ago, and was able to see my progesterone levels were extremely low. And without progesterone, we cannot actually create a life, because we need that progesterone to protect that embryo and for that to actually survive. And lower progesterone levels are also what increase risk of miscarriage. And so if that's something that you've also experienced, where you've been able to get pregnant but experience a lot of recurrent pregnancy loss or miscarriages, then that's something that we might be potentially be able to work on too. Of course, I can't make any guarantees, but I do think it's important to know that there's hope, and what there are potentially things that we can do to support your overall health and well-being, so that you are able to not only get pregnant, but have a safe, healthy pregnancy, and then a healthy delivery, and then a healthy baby as well, and healthy postpartum experience for yourself. All of these things are really, really important. So let's talk a little bit about my personal journey. But I did want to mention all of that, because that's something I'm really passionate about. And with my journey, I had extremely low progesterone levels. I was at 0.5. Optimal levels are around 8, and I was at 0.5, so it was really, really low. And after a few years of really just working mostly diet, lifestyle, working on my gut health, all of that, it really only went up to 1.5. And then finally I started on Vitex, which is a very powerful herb that can help improve progesterone levels. It essentially is teaching your body how to naturally produce its own progesterone, so that you don't need to be on any sort of hormone replacement. And after I took that, within a few months, my progesterone levels went up, and I was practicing my fertility awareness method, doing all the right things. But after a few years after that, I was going through a lot of shifts and moving a lot the last few years. Well, mostly the last 2 years, I've moved around a lot, so I kind of fell off the fertility awareness method game, and was more like, I'll listen to my body, figure I mostly know when I'm ovulating, but that is constantly evolving and shifting, because anything from a slight stressor to a flight can actually shift your ovulation date. And so that's where I went wrong. I didn't fully go into that as much as I should have. However, I know I say that that's where I went wrong, but however, I am at this point extremely grateful and so happy to be giving life and creating life for this little baby boy. And and going through this experience myself, I think I am very grateful for it, despite it being unexpected and unplanned, and I do genuinely feel really happy and excited for the future. So so with that said, that's a little bit of how I went from being infertile and diagnosed as infertile to having an unplanned pregnancy. And so that is a little bit of what happened. So of course, as you can imagine, when I originally found out that I was pregnant, I was definitely a little shocked and feeling a little stressed, mostly because of my very conservative Indian culture and family, and how this is not generally accepted, and it's very taboo. So it was a lot for me to wrap my head around, but I did feel like this was the right thing for me at this time, to keep this child and maintain the pregnancy, because that's what I felt was right in my heart. And so when making that decision, I really just focused on my heart. I went into my meditation, I was journaling, and I just looked into what my heart wanted, and my heart was ready for this. And even though having a child is definitely not anything that's simple or easy, it feels like this was what I was meant to do at this time, and I'm very excited about that. And that's what I listen to, and that's what I encourage everyone to listen to. Listen to that heart, because the only time I feel like we usually feel regrets is when we haven't listened to our heart, and we're succumbing to fear or our anxiety versus listening to what we truly want. And this was what I wanted. And I have an extremely supportive partner, who I am so grateful for. So it's made this whole process a lot easier in general. But with that said, let's talk a little bit about the physical shifts. So initially, when I started my first trimester, I didn't really have very many symptoms. Around 6 weeks in, I started to experience a lot of fatigue. So that was the main symptom I experienced. I did not really have any nausea, morning sickness, nothing like that. I was experiencing a little bit of nausea if I worked out before I ate. So it was a very simple fix. I just made sure to eat before I worked out, and maybe would not be able to do as intense cardio initially, but otherwise most of my workouts were pretty much the same. And I just needed to eat a little bit more food, which makes sense because I was growing a human, or I still am growing a human, and that takes a lot of energy. So I need a lot of fuel. And so I was definitely eating a lot more initially, and I had a lot of cravings for fruit. I think I wanted a lot of those electrolytes, all those nutrients that come in foods, or fruits in general, were so just exciting to me. And normally I have a sweet tooth and I love my chocolate, but I didn't care for chocolate at all. All I wanted was fruits and popsicles, because it was also starting to shift into summer. So all of those little things were some physical shifts that I experienced, but I was definitely feeling very tired and fatigued. And I did do my lab testing right then, because I had been diagnosed with the Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. I did do my lab testing, and I did find that my thyroid, or TSH levels, had gone a little up, and so it did indicate a medication. And so I did start with levothyroxine, and I'm doing the lowest dose at 25 micrograms. And since I started that around about 6-7 weeks of pregnancy, I have been taking that daily throughout my entire pregnancy, and I have actually not really experienced much fatigue at all. I mostly feel very energetic and feel really good throughout the day, and so that issue was solved almost immediately. But I've been able to stay on that low dose. I've been checking my labs every 4 to 6 weeks, and my thyroid, everything has been very stable, and with our ultrasounds and midwife appointments and everything like that, everything has been very stable, and we've been very grateful to know that everything has been going in a very healthy manner. So with that said, clearly there are some shifts that happened during pregnancy, and while I was never on a medication prior to pregnancy, being on this medication now, I don't know what that means for the future. I just know that this is what I needed at this time, and that just goes to show that it's not necessarily that all medications are bad, and I do definitely feel better being on the thyroid medication, and I think my baby feels better for it too. So I'm very grateful for that. And so that was kind of the first trimester. So really only symptom was fatigue, and then a little bit of nausea if I didn't eat, but I mostly was pretty good about that. I love food, so wasn't an issue. I was craving, I was craving fruits, but I was also craving a lot of carbohydrates. So a lot of grains that I normally don't eat because I normally have a more paleo diet. And so I was craving a lot of like cereal and pizza and bagels and things like that. And those are things that I don't usually eat. But I allowed myself to indulge as long as it was gluten-free because of my thyroid condition. It had to be gluten-free. I did allow myself to indulge, and usually I was totally okay. Sometimes I would get some occasional bloating with that, which again makes sense because I don't normally do well with grains. So yeah, that was really the majority of my first trimester. And then shifting into the second trimester, I honestly have felt really great throughout my whole second trimester. I've been able to eat normally the way that I normally do, having my 3 solid meals a day. I didn't even need to eat before I worked out. I felt great. I honestly, the only way I really remembered that I was pregnant was because I was literally growing in size and slowing down with my sprints a little bit while I was running and doing my high intensity training, which I only do twice a week. So everyone who's about to freak out about my level of exercise, it's really not that bad. And I always make sure to listen to my body. If anything feels off, I stop it. I work in a different way. I'm also working with a pelvic floor physical therapist who has recommended certain exercises, and so oftentimes during workouts, if something feels off, I'll just do those exercises. Also, she's also made some recommendations in terms of workouts too, which what to avoid, certain crunches and things like that. And I've just been avoiding all of that. Otherwise, I've been continuing with most of my strength training, cardio, yoga, all of that. And I felt really great for it. And honestly, I feel so much better when I do that. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to continue with those routines. But yeah, the second trimester has been great. And now shifting into the third trimester, really the only thing that's already started to shift is that I do feel hungrier again. And so I do feel like I need to eat more food and need to eat more often as well. And so that again makes a lot of sense during this time, because now that the baby is growing more, it's compressing on the stomach, so I won't be able to fit as much in my stomach, but then I won't be satiated, and it'll empty much sooner, and then I'm gonna be hungry again. So that's also very normal. And so thankfully, all of the physical symptoms have been very minor to really non-existent, and I'm really grateful for that. But I'm honestly just very grateful for naturopathic medicine, because I think I've put in the work beforehand to get myself to a place where my body can handle these shifts and changes in a healthy manner. So I'm very grateful for that. And along with that, the mental shifts, I'm grateful for naturopathic medicine and all that I've done beforehand, because with this situation, I could have had a lot of stress and anxiety, and there were definitely points where I was feeling a little bit more stress or anxiety, but because I have my meditation practice, because I have my breath work practice and journaling and yoga and in general, I'm good with checking in with myself. Because I've had all these practices in place beforehand, I've been able to support myself throughout this entire pregnancy without taking any additional supplements or things like that, that we don't actually know how safe they really are. And I've been able to manage all of that, as well as my sleep too, for the most part. So I'm very grateful for all the work that I have put in beforehand, and grateful that I found naturopathic medicine when I did, so that it could take me through this journey. And in terms of the spiritual aspect of things, it's been phenomenal. I feel like I'm already very spiritually connected to this child of mine, and I don't know how to really put it into words, but he is kicking and moving, and I do notice that there are certain times where he gets a little bit more excited when I'm feeling good, or whenever I'm meditating or taking a bath, and he loves those things. And so I feel like we have this beautiful spiritual connection. I was actually hugging a tree the other day, which of course, as a naturopathic doctor, sounds super hippie, and of course I'm a tree hugger, but I was hugging a tree the other day and I could literally feel our heart energies syncing. So the tree's energy, my energy, and the baby's energy, and it was such a powerful experience, and just kind of reminded me how spiritual this experience of becoming a mother and motherhood really is. And I'm so excited for what's to come. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's crazy. I've been feeling so good, and loving my body for being able to create this life, and supporting me throughout the journey. And I do want to go into some of more of the mental, emotional shifts, and what I've kind of been experiencing, but I'll do that in another video. Today I wanted to mostly go over how I've been feeling and what's been going on. So right now I feel great, and I am so grateful for all of you, for all of your support as well. And in my practice, I have not fully slowed down yet, but we have brought on 2 more doctors. And so hopefully they'll be able to help me out a little bit while I'm on my maternity leave, which will be from December 17th until April, the beginning of April. So the December 17th is about 2 weeks before my due date, so taking 2 weeks before, and then taking about 3 months after, practicing what I preach, and really taking that time off to bond with my child and my partner, and really develop those connections together as a family, and go through that whole experience. So I would love to also share what I'm planning for my birth journey and all of that as well, but I'll do that in another video. So make sure to stay tuned. I hope to keep creating these videos at least until I actually have the little baby boy. So I think that's all I got for you all today. If you are interested and feel like you do need some support in terms of fertility, or you're looking for someone to help you with your fertility journey, I would love to be the one that supports you, but unfortunately I'm no longer taking new patients, and I'm completely booked out up until December, when I'm about to take my leave. So completely booked out. But these new doctors, Dr. Jahaz Shine and Dr. Rachel Husner, are amazing, and they both have a very solid understanding of women's health and hormonal health, and can definitely support you throughout this journey in the meantime. So please make sure to check them out on our website. I'll make sure to link their information below, but make sure to check them out, and schedule a consult with them, because they're truly amazing human beings. I've felt connected with both of them in a more spiritual way, but also they're amazing doctors. Like, they have their shit together. They really are constantly doing their research and always learning more, and beyond that are so compassionate and empathetic, and I'm so grateful to have them on our team at Mahan Health. So make sure you check them out and schedule a call with them. But in the meantime, I'm wishing you all Mahan Health and peace throughout this journey, and I will see you all soon.